I think China is an amazing economy. I mean, there's no question in my mind that the growth on a per capita basis is going to be dramatic going forward. I mean, they're just starting to exercise their potential. When you think about it, in 1790 there were 4 million people in the United States, just under 4 million. There were 290 million in China in 1790. Just as smart, just as hardworking, resources of the land, the minerals, everything, climate, very, very similar. And for 170 years or so, relatively little progress was made in the standard of living for those people, like I say, who had all the native abilities that America had. But in recent decades, the potential of the Chinese is being unleashed, and it's huge. And I think it's very, very interesting to watch.
I can hardly think of anything more important than future close collaboration between the United States and China. And you're talking about the two most important nations in the world going forward. And I think it is very important that we like and trust one another and have very good relations and work together to avoid bad consequences that come from other people's mistakes and misbehavior.
The nice thing about it in this country, I think, is that both Democrats and Republicans basically, on balance, believe in the benefits of free trade. And we will have disagreements with each other. We'll have disagreements with other countries on trade, but it's just too big and too obvious for that the benefits are huge, and the world's dependent on it in a major way for its progress. That two intelligent countries will do something extremely foolish. But we've done remarkably well with trade. China's done remarkably well with trade. The countries of the world have done remarkably well with the trade. So it is a win-win situation, and the only problem gets to be when one side or the other may want to win a little bit too much, and then you have a certain amount of tension. But we will not sacrifice the world. I mean, we'll not sacrifice world prosperity based on differences that arise in trade.
We have to figure out if Trump's tough talk will start paying dividends in improved trade relations, or if it pushes us the other direction and leads us potentially into a trade war. What do you think happens? By the way, here's a tweet from the president. I believe this was Friday night. Our high-level delegation was on the way back from China, where they had long meetings with Chinese leaders and business representatives. We will be meeting tomorrow to determine the results, but it's hard for China in that they have become very spoiled with U.S. trade wins.
Yeah, well, the answer is I don't think we will have trade wars because of significance. We will have trade movements, but in terms of the old-fashioned thought of a trade war where you just keep piling it on, I don't think that happens. It's counter to the interests of us. It's counter to the interests of China. It's counter to the interests of every country in the world. I mean, the world thrives on trade. We would not have the economy, nor would China, nor would the rest of the world have the economic well-being that they have without a lot of trade.
Well, let's talk about what it would mean if tariffs on Chinese goods rose to 25% from 10% on that $200 billion worth of goods at the end of the week. How significant is that? What would it mean for Berkshire's businesses?
Well, it would mean a lot to the world. It isn't just the countries involved, because they take the dollars they receive from us net and they buy goods in other places. I mean, their trade surplus is considerably less overall than their trade surplus with us. So everything intersects in the world, and it depends who gets retaliatory with us or with them, and it's it's easier to start it than it is to stop it. And the effects would be huge if conducted on a major scale over time. The very fact that it's sort of a nuclear threat is what brings people to the table. So, I mean, that's the way that many play the game, but you don't want to have too many nuclear threats out there because someday somebody may feel they have to fulfill one.